Peace, 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 IG. Assalamu alaikum. Come on in, family. This morning we're going to go over daily survival tip number 4. Seek training and expert guidance. Seek training and expert guidance. Come on in, family. That's what we're talking about this morning. Daily survival tip number 4. Seek training and expert guidance. This is a new series that I'm working on where I'm going to go live every single day. May not be the same time of the day. Sometimes it could be morning, sometimes it could be noon, sometimes it could be night. But I'm going to get to you every single day. Inshallah. And I'm going to give you a daily survival tip. My survival tips are not short tips. I might have some that end up being short tips. But realistically speaking, I don't like to just, cut it off, because what happens is people have questions anyways and they go and ask questions, ask you to elaborate. What does this mean? What does that mean? I'd rather give more up front. And then if you still have questions, of course, I'll answer them. Always welcome questions in the comment section. Welcome questions on the live feed. Welcome questions to the DM. It doesn't matter. The point for me is to get some kind of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding over to you as I have it, as I can, so that you have information to work with. So peace, 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 and blessings. Phenomenal morning, Queen. So yes, daily survival tip number 4. We got Marissa Black in the building. Seek training and expert guidance. That's daily survival tip number 4, and that's a big one. It's not a quick tip. It can be. I could say, seek training, expert guidance. Peace. See you later. But no, you need to really look at where it is that you may be deficient, that you can get some kind of training. Look at your resources. Look at your money specifically, and think, what kind of training can I purchase? What kind of training can I apply for that will increase my survivability? Anywhere from the number 1 types of training that you can that you should focus on. There are 2 main ones. Number 1 is going to be medical training in any way, shape, or form, meaning CPR. It might be a class just on CPR. They don't teach you how to put on a band-aid. They don't teach you how to do nothing else. They teach you CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. But they, more than likely, they're going to teach you more than that. But I'm saying, at any degree, you need to learn something about medical, something about life-saving. But yeah, so you want to do some kind of medical training, CPR, first aid, first responder classes, blood stopper classes. You have the American Red Cross. You have, what's the other one? The American Heart Association, Red Cross and American Heart Association, the 2 most known. But there are definitely other groups. There are probably some things local to you, regionally, or statewide, or in your city that you might be able to tap into. Also, there are different organizations that every year, provide training to their staff, to their membership, and stuff like that. Figure out who the organizations are. Maybe you might become a part of that organization. If they're training their people in that kind of way, then that's an organization that might have resources and might have the best interest of its membership in mind. Might be the type of organization that you want to join, even if it's just to reap some benefits. I'm not opposed to, utilizing resources. Just keep it real with people, you know what I mean? I see y'all do this kind of training, that kind of training, and I wanted to sign up because it's something I'm missing in my life. But find somewhere. It could be an organization that you're already a part of, that you might go and speak to the CEO. You might go speak to somebody in upper management or something like that, somebody who's in control, and say, it would be nice with the way the world is going, the volatility of this world, and how things are just, generally seem to be getting worse, if we did trainings that would help us in situations and circumstances that require us to be able to help someone sustain their life. We don't want to be last responders, or just the guy that picks up the girl that picks up the phone and calls the ambulance and has to wait. No, I want to be able to spring into action and make a difference trying to save the life of a loved one, if I have that kind of training. So seek out that kind of training. CPR, first aid, first responder, blood stopping classes, and learn all you can about medical. Pick up some books on these subjects. But what else? So that's number one, medical training. Number two, I said there's going to be two main ones, right? You have medical, and then you have, I think I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, self-defense classes. That's probably number two. I say, number one is medical over self-defense, because whether you're trained or not, you can get hurt. Whether you're trained or not in some form of self-defense, someone else around you can get hurt. So you could be trained, you could become a 4th, 5th, 6th degree black belt, become injured, and that black belt's not going to save your life. You know what I mean? It'll put you in a position to where you might be able to fend off somebody who has intention of doing you harm, but you sustain an injury, you might win the fight and sustain some injuries in that fight, and you're still going to need to be able to administer some kind of healing on yourself or someone else, right? You might take down the opponent, but you didn't want to kill the opponent, and so you render aid to some degree, right? Because you don't want to catch a murder beef, but you had to take him down. It is what it is, but I'm not going to let the person die. It's self-defense. I don't need no manslaughter charges, right? Just keep it funky with you. And so you might want to administer first aid. But that number two is definitely going to be self-defense training. Seek it out. If you do not know how to, I was going to say formally defend yourself. If you don't have a knowledge or skill set in self-defense that allows you to approach a situation or circumstance with an understanding of, this is how I'm going to respond if this is going to happen. If someone chokes me from behind, this is a few different ways that I can respond to that. If someone tries to choke me from front, 2 hands stretched out to my neck, this is how I'm going to defend against that. If somebody pulls a gun on me from X amount of feet or distance away, this is the different things that I can do to respond to that. And with self-defense, I'm going to put in there, de-escalation training, which, is basically typically coupled with self-defense. There's some kind of, de-escalation in there, because, a good sensei, a good sifu, whatever have you, is going to teach his students how to avoid the situation, how to evade the situation if possible, because this is one of the rules. You either do not fight and have mercy. You either have mercy and do not fight, or fight and have no mercy. You're either going to have mercy and not engage, like I'm going to have mercy on this person by not engaging, or you're going to engage not showing any mercy. So, de-escalation is important, because if you're going to engage, you're not engaging for fun. You're engaging because your life is in danger, because you feel that this person has a potential to do you bodily harm, and you're not going to allow that. So you're not starting on 1 and then working your way up to 10. You're going to start on 10. You're going to start on 10 and assess the situation as you go, and if it doesn't require such force, then you scale it down. But you never start on 1. You start on 10 and then work your way down. So de-escalation is important, but that self-defense training is important. You need to know what are some options if someone pulls a knife on you, because the reality is that you get into a situation where you're going to have to fight and defend yourself. Yes, this de-escalation is very important. We have to defend yourself. If someone pulls a knife on you, if someone pulls a gun on you, if someone gets real aggressive, if someone looks formidable, they might not even get aggressive, but they just look formidable. If you're not trained, if you don't have any experience in an organized fight, or it's a random fight, if you don't have any experience, if you haven't put yourself through those tests, you're going to respond and react in a way. Even if you're fearless in that sense, if you don't have no kind of training, there's still going to be a response that you're going to default into, that it's going to put the other person know that this person is not trained, even if they're not trained. So don't let yourself get into that situation. You need to have the kind of training that, you're repetitively in the gym, you're repetitively in the dojo, and someone, is trained, you're getting training, but, you're put in situations, circumstances, meaning in class, someone's going to choke you. In a self-defense class, someone is going to, throw a left hook, throw a right hook, and you're going to have to practice that block. You're going to have to practice that block when there's no one throwing it at you. You're going to have to practice that block, different situations and circumstances, with the person in front of you, when there's no one there, to the point where it's muscle memory. Someone walks up to you and their arm, their leg is coming at you in a certain way from a certain direction, it's just a reflex. You do this every day. You're working on this every, X amount of hours every week. And so someone walks up to you, it's like, boom. You probably see my hand pass by the screen real quick, but, if I slow it down, you'll see it. But basically, it's just a reaction. And, somebody, you ever see somebody who, I've seen it from people. You walk and you're playing with somebody, you go to grab them and they just react quick as hell, fast as hell. Damn, cuz, that was kind of quick. That's because cuz is in the classes training. You want to put yourself in that position to where it's second nature for you to respond a certain way to a threat. Someone gets too close to your space and you've already looked at that person and identified their weaknesses or some of their weaknesses. You've already identified that based on their posture, you could strike here, you could strike there, and get some distance, or not get some distance to you, but give yourself a couple seconds. You know what I mean? A quick jab to the diaphragm, forcing that fist up and into their diaphragm. It's going to give you a few seconds because you're going to knock the wind out of them. Same thing, right there at or below the navel, strike all your force going downward into the groin area. That's going to stop them for a few and give you a chance to do something else. It's going to give you a chance to do something else. Those couple seconds of shock that this person's going to be given because you responded in such a way, it's going to give you a couple seconds. And then you have to be able to know, based off of experience, this is what I'm going to do next. Once they're in shock, I'm going for the neck, I'm going for the throat, I'm going for the arm, I'm going to put them in this lock, I'm going to take out the shin, I'm going to hit them in his instep, hit her in her instep, whoever it is, I don't care, you know what I mean? I'm going to reverse the choke, I'm going to flip the person, I'm going to send them flying across the room with a kick. But you got to get that training. But there are other trainings. There are actual survival preparedness trainings that you can take, and not just my class. I teach radio communications and survival preparedness. You can check out the link is in the bio. Check out the website. Sign up for that class. My class is a lot different than most people's classes, as I have a special focus on radio and communication as it deals with survival preparedness. Of course, we get into home fortification, we get into self-defense, we get into all of the other stuff, but we do have a portion that's just on radio communications, because communication is going to be key in any survival situation that is beyond, just a cut or a boo-boo, as an individual, because there's emergencies that happen every day. But I'm talking about grid down, natural disaster, civil unrest, political fallout type stuff. Those type of situations, communication is going to be key. And so, there's always my class, but also there's other places and other classes that you can take where you might go out to a farm, you might go out to a homestead, you might go out to the woods, you might go out to a mountain somewhere, and there's people that do trainings, full trainings on survival and preparedness. And that's awesome. Go learn how to start a fire, go learn how to build a shelter in the middle of the woods, go learn how to track, go learn how to find water and boil and distill water in the wilderness without bringing any other tools with you, or bringing minimal tools with you. You know what I mean? But go get that training. It's very important. It's not going to put your mind at ease, but it's going to leave you feeling that you have something in place in order to help you and your family survive through times of uncertainty. That's the goal, is to put your mind at some degree of ease that, I have something in place. Something jump off tomorrow, I'm not starting ass out, with nothing, no training, no experience, no nothing, No, I have something. I went through this, and maybe it wasn't a real life situation, but I trained as if it was a real life situation. I trained as if I was really fighting somebody when I was in that dojo. I'm gonna tell you something, you get into that martial arts training, you will really get punched in the face. You will really get kicked in the ribs. You will really get put in a chokehold and an arm lock, because there's no point in practicing and trying something if you don't try it as if it's real. So there's going to be pressure around your neck, and you're going to have to respond how you would respond in the street. In the back of your head, the person's not trying to kill you, but at the same time, they're not taking it easy on you either as you get up there in certain degrees, but that's what you want. You want to feel like someone is trying to kill you, because you're going to play how you practice. And if you're not practicing as if somebody's really trying to do it to you, when someone's really trying to do it to you, while your survival instincts will kick in, they'll kick in, and you'll have simply natural reactions. You want that natural survival instinct to kick in, but with having it reinforced with the knowledge. Okay, well, I know that if I twist slightly this way and I drop, my shoulders, I can loosen that person's grip and then shove my elbow into their gut, and then follow with my arm coming, shove the elbow into the gut, follow my arm coming down into the groin, and then I can turn around and grab that inner part of the thigh, rip it up, trip the person off their feet, turn around, kick them straight in the neck. Some stuff like that. Like, have that sequence in your mind that you can just fall right into it. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that kind of skill set only comes through training. So what is that? Self-defense, first aid, de-escalation, survival, preparedness training. You might want to get training on, gardening. And like in a community garden, go find some community gardens around your area. Go find a farm somewhere in your area and ask them, can I come and volunteer on the farm? Because that might be the thing to do too. You might want to volunteer somewhere where, okay, you're not getting paid, but you don't have to pay either. If you volunteer, you can ask the questions. You're right there in the thick of it, and they'll give you that training for free. The only thing it's going to cost you is some time, and it's going to cost you attention. You have to pay attention. Knowledge isn't free. You have to pay attention. You're not paying $50, you're paying attention. It's going to cost you some time, but it's worth the investment to go to a farm and volunteer 2 days out of the week. Maybe you can only do 1 day out of the month. I don't know. But if you go out there and in that 1 day you come with a list of pre-questions, you're going to ask these questions. And then as the day goes on, you're going to ask other questions that are like, okay, well, this just popped up. Well, let me ask this question and learn. Ask them, can I plant the seeds? Can I thin out the weeds? Can I thin out this row of crops? You want to be there when it's time to plant. You want to be there when it's time to water. You want to be there when it's time to prune. You want to be there when it's time to deadhead. You want to be there when it's time to harvest. You want to be there when it's time to turn the crops over, when it's time to fertilize, when it's time to work the irrigation system. And then also you want to learn how to do things in places where there is no irrigation. You want to learn how to grow in situations that are not ideal. Irrigation requires some kind of grid, some kind of system. And you might be in a situation where, post-collapse type world, where you don't have access to that level of irrigation. There's still ways that you can irrigate land outside of the advances that technology has given us recently. But you want to learn how to do all this stuff without it, with minimal equipment and tools, have that knowledge. But that's another training that you do want to seek out and get. You want to learn you want to learn from, somebody who has done it before, how to actually get them seeds into the ground from day one, and all the steps that you can learn all the way into harvest. That's training. What other kind of training do you might want to do? Go volunteer at a school or daycare or something and learn how to deal with children. Learn how to deal. It might not be children, it might be teenagers. Any level. Learn how to deal with the youth, because the youth are the most important factor in survival and preparedness. Because if we took three groups, a group of youth who are from the ages of 1 all the way to 24, 25, 26 or something like that. Then we had another group, or let's say 20 or 1 to 30, another group from 30 to 55, another group from 55 on up. If you took those three groups, right, and you put all your time and energy into the older ones, because they need time and attention too. The reality is that their clock is ticking. Now, they have an extremely important role to play because they have experience. They have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that only comes from years and years of experience. They have an appreciation for life that some of us don't. There's some that don't have that appreciation for life, but most of them have an appreciation for life that some of us don't have, because we don't get that necessarily at a younger age. They have an appreciation for motor functions and mental capacity and all this kind of stuff, because they've gone through some things. And so what you want to do is you want to go somewhere, maybe volunteer to old folks home, pick their minds, because they're a wealth of knowledge. They can help to advance your understanding of things in a short amount of time, just by talking to them, just by working with them. Working with the elderly will give you a certain appreciation for life just from co-experience. That group under, my parents' age range, it's a little different. But them children, the youth is more important. Why? Because not only are you working with a population that you're able to teach, you're able to impress upon, and hopefully you're impressing upon them in a positive way. You're dealing with the population that is going to populate the planet later. They're going to be the rulers. They're going to be the ones running things. And that's where you want to have the most influence. You know, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And so children who, you know, before and during childbearing age, they are going to be, you know, the most vital. If you kill off all those up to the age of 30, you know, that species is likely going to die out. If you kill off the ones in the middle, the species will probably be fine. My age and up, that species is probably going to be fine. Because those youth are still going to be able to procreate and learn. They're going to have time to make mistakes and learn from them. If you take off the older generation, you're going to lose a lot. The older generation, you're going to lose a lot because that wealth of knowledge is something that's going to take time to acquire. And you have to have enough of them make it to that age in order to be able to, you know, really extract the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from that population. So all three, you know, are good, but you want to volunteer in the old folks home, volunteer at a community center and work with the youth, you know, work with the youth in a way, you know, where it's a mutual benefit. You're teaching, training them in ways that are conducive to a positive community, and you're learning from them in ways that are conducive to a positive community. That's a very important training right there that you can go and get. And then there's other stuff, you know what I mean? Go and volunteer for some kind of political PAC or something like that, and learn certain things about diplomacy, learn certain things about you know, policy and stuff like that, because no matter what happens in this world, it could be 2 weeks after a grid down situation, it could be a month after a collapse situation, it could be 2 years after a collapse situation. Whatever people are alive at that point in time, the majority of people are going to want some kind of order. They might want things to be in the order they want it to be, but the reality is everybody's going to be looking for some degree of order. And for someone it might be, listen, what I say goes. I'm the biggest, I'm the strongest, I don't care about none of the rest of y'all. In their mind, there's an order there. Other people might say, no, we need to find out who is the most intelligent, who's the most knowledgeable people, put them on a council, on a board, or on something like that, and then let's let them guide us. You know, that's some people's mindset. But the person with some kind of, you have to have some kind of knowledge of diplomacy, some kind of knowledge of public speaking and dealing with people in policy and how to move and navigate that type of arena, minus the bullcrap that they do engage in. I'm not saying go take what politicians and them say hook, line, and sinker. I'm saying shalom, assalamu alaikum. I'm saying, you know, go get in that arena and learn how to carry yourself in there, learn how to navigate that type of arena, because while politics is dirty and all of that, and I don't like politics necessarily, I understand it. I understand how to operate around that type of mindset, and it is important. But these are all different kind of things that you can do. Seek training. Training doesn't always have to be a paid training. It doesn't have to be from somebody with 1,000 degrees. That's another important point I want to make. Seeking training for an expert guidance doesn't mean, okay, whoever you're getting it from has to have 7 degrees and this and that, and they have to be recognized by this and that person. For certain things like medical, you do want somebody who's knowledgeable, somebody who can, you know, has some experience and some kind of, you know, a skill set that they're qualified when it comes to medical, CPR, first aid, because you don't want somebody to give you some advice on, you know, apply pressure here at this very spot and you're killing somebody. So when it comes to that first aid medical training, you do want to get that from a reputable source. But even self-defense, okay, you might want to get, you know, everybody should get something from a reputable source. When it comes to self-defense, let me tell you something, plenty of people learn how to fight in them streets. There are a lot of people out here that can box, that can throw their hands, that can throw their feet, and that can defend themselves and teach you how to defend yourself, and they've never taken a class themselves. So something like that, you don't have to necessarily, if you can't afford to do some kind of, you know, expert training, some kind of, and I'm not saying expert because those people in the streets, they're dudes that are experts with their hands, and they would take out the leader of somebody's dojo. They would take out the leader of somebody's trainer. You know what I mean? Don't sleep. I'm big about getting trained, professionally trained and all that when it comes to self-defense. But let me tell you, somebody's your boy's uncle around the corner, he could have spent X amount of years in the Marines and know how to handle himself. He's not a professional trainer or nothing like that, but he'll teach you how to box in the way that you're going to come out victorious X amount of times. So again, for medical stuff, yeah, you do want to seek that from somebody who has some kind of credential, somebody who knows what they're doing 100%. But all the rest of that stuff, forget it. You know what I mean? I mean, don't forget it. I mean, don't hang up on, oh, this person doesn't have a degree, this person doesn't have that. There are plenty of people that can teach you how to fight. They don't have no degree, no formal training in it, and will teach you how to defend your life. There are people who can teach you about gardening and farming that have no degree in this stuff. They've been just putting seeds in the earth, and they got a green thumb by nature. Or they worked really hard at it, practicing on their own in their own garden, community garden plot, to the point where they know just as much, if not more, than the person who has some kind of degree or something like that in it. I'm gonna be real with you. In your own study, there are things you can do and start studying and practicing in any of these fields I talked about, where, except the medical one, be very careful when it comes to just, practicing medical stuff on people and even on yourself. That one, get that from American Heart Association, get that from Red Cross, and any other reputable organization that does it. But all the rest of those kind of trainings and stuff like that, you can do stuff on your own. You might want to take an apprenticeship and work under a carpenter or something like that, or somebody that builds. Maybe you have an uncle that is that handyman that does a bunch of stuff. He don't got no degree, he don't work for no union, he just knows how to fix things, and people pay him to fix things. He's been making a living off it all his life. Take me on some runs, learn something about plumbing, learn something about electric, learn something about carpentry, learn something about putting down flooring or carpet, learn something about putting up a roof, learn skills in the building trades. You can get that professionally, or you can get that from somebody who just does it, who is not formally trained. They didn't go to school for it, but they obviously get work and they know what they're doing. Learn from that person, because all those skills will come in handy in survival and preparedness. I'm gonna reiterate this one more time. Sorry to keep belaboring the point on this one, but when it comes to seeking training, for medical training, you do want to have some kind of professional who has a degree and is credentialed with medical stuff. You must get your medical training from somebody who's reputable. Red Cross, American Heart Association, or anything else that is reputable. Peace, peace, peace to Ray the Great. All right? I'm going to say that. Medical training must come from somewhere reputable. All those other trainings, gardening and farming, self-defense, building trades, all of that kind of stuff, you want to get it from a reputable source if you can, but it does not have to be some kind of super big, well-known company or something like that. The guy around the corner, he might be able to teach you self-defense a lot better than Sifu or Sensei. Straight up, Sifu Sensei might approach old boy and get dealt with, like literally. Firearms, I don't recommend weapons or anything. I'm gonna add this one to the reputable. I don't recommend weapons. I don't myself carry weapons. But if you want to go that route, get that kind of training from a professional. Firearms, knife, and all that kind of stuff. If you want to get that from a reputable source, straight up. All right, so those two, medical and then weapons trainings, you might want to get that from reputable sources. Everything else, if you can get it from a reputable source, yeah, you might not be able to afford that. You can learn how to defend yourself. You can learn how to build. You can learn de-escalation. You can learn survival preparedness. You can learn all kind of things wherever you can find the resource. All right. That being said, family, that is survival tip, daily survival tip number 4. Seek and get expert training. Seek training and expert guidance. Seek training and expert guidance. You want to get yourself in a situation where you have somebody taking you through the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of a particular field of knowledge, to advance your knowledge, wisdom, understanding of that field, past where you would if you were doing it just on your own. And if you want to do it on your own, start today, carve out some time, and prioritize that training. If you want to do your own self-training, prioritize that training and make sure you stick to it. Take it seriously. Read on it, watch videos on it, ask questions to other people who are trained about it. Work, you may be training yourself, but you might want to go spar with somebody who is trained, like a scrimmage type situation. Do those kind of things if you want to go at it on your own. But the point is, get it done today. That's survival tip number 4. Again, daily survival tip number 4. Seek training and expert guidance. Daniel Casey, 1NCF, signing out. Peace.